Hello and welcome to another episode of Unsourced Wall. We're starting with week 3 of the Summer of Stargate. We're looking at 2 of the final figures in this box. Now, the last week, next week is going to be something really special, but let's get on with what this box has left. There's going to be really fun figures, and I can't wait to get all the way through it. So let's see what we get out of here this time. So this week, we're looking at the Ra figure and the Horus fighter pilot figure. That's actually specific because there's 2 variants of Horus, and we'll get into more why and how later. But yeah, so far sculpts are good. I still really like what Anubis was like, and these really kind of fit in the same kind of niche, and I really appreciate that. So let's look at these specifically along with their accessories and goodie bags and see what's what. So let's start off with Horus. Like Anubis, it has this amazing crest of a helm that looks very, very faithful to the movie. Obviously, the sculpt is slightly different to accommodate to be like a affordable little figure, but it's got like the same exact aesthetic. It looks very Stargate, and I really appreciate that. So we're going to look at a side-by-side screenshot of what it looks like on the card art and what it looks like in the movie. And you can see, yeah, no, the movie is almost exactly like what it looks like as a figure right in the card art. These ones don't do a good job at translating it to what it looks like in the plastic form at all. And we're cutting right back to the figure here. Let's look at what he looks like underneath the helm. And the actor portraying Horus in the movie was Jimon Hunsu, who people might recognize more for playing the wizard Shazam in the Shazam movie, or Korvath in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, the first one, or even one of the Atlantean kings in Aquaman. He's been in a bunch of stuff, but those are the first that come to mind because, you know, comic stuff. And, you know, this is a pretty decent likeness. So we're going to look at a side-by-side comparison of the figure with the actor. And yeah, you know, for a generic kind of plastic mold, it kind of looks like Jimon Hunsu, and I really appreciate that. So we're going to cut to a picture of the other variant, the standard Palace Guard Horus. And you can see why I think it's really weird it's had a variant. Because even though that's meant to be Horus, it's white, and Jimon Hunsu is not white. So I think that's pretty hilarious that they had a variant figure that was that off. This is the wing glider pilot variant for Horus. So I believe he's meant to like be on the wing glider accessory vehicle, but I don't have that on hand. So maybe one day I will, just to give Jimon his war chariot thing going on. But yeah, circulation, pretty standard. The arms, the legs, and the head, all there. Head's really stiff, but honestly, when you hit the helm on, you're not really gonna miss that. Another thing I didn't notice on Anubis was that the little kilt stuff are removable. They have a little peg on them. But why would I remove them at all? They're really fun accessory pieces, and they really complete the Egyptian look. So we're going to take a look at what I believe are Horus's accessories, and we're going to see what's going on there. So first off, we're looking at his artifact piece, which is this chariot thing. It's like a sled. I believe this is meant to be like a mustache sort of a carrying sled. I don't really recognize it from the movie at all. If I go back, I'll probably figure out what the hell this is, just like when we're looking at the weapon, which was actually just the scaled down version of the Ra mothership as a gun. But yeah, not really coming to mind as anything, but I do like this a lot better than the ATV vehicle artifact piece, because this actually looks like it should be in Stargate. Like, it has all these little runes on it. It's got a very sci-fi aesthetic, but also kind of being old worldy. So I like that a lot. Now we have this sort of film faithful weapon, the kind of taser staff thing that Horus also came with. And let's see how well he holds it. Again, neither of these have a tight grip on their staffs, but I think it looks relatively nice in it. Yeah, that looks really, really good. Now, his main sort of sci-fi gun weapon is this. It doesn't look anything like Stargate. None of them have. Wait, is this the same as that? They have like the same kind of shape, right? Again, I have zero clue. Let's load it up. And let's see how this one goes. Nice. Let's see how well he holds it. Okay, so Horus can't hold this weapon at all. Unlike Kowalski, who had this little arm gauntlet that helped keep his wrist in place while it held on to like this little trigger point, this one doesn't have that. So any attempt to kind of get its grip on that is doomed to fail because it's not tight enough to actually get that in. And this little point, which looks like it should work, is just too large for his little wrist holes. And I think this is meant to be like the arm gauntlet, but it doesn't wrap around the wrist securely enough to make any difference. And I feel like I'm going to stretch and break it at all. But it's a nice one. Like it fires unlike Kowalski's, so that's nice. But I don't want to break it, just trying to get it to fit onto his arm. Especially since I'm just going to have him displayed with his staff piece anyway. Which is, the movie weapon, and he looks better with that. So here we have Ra, who was played by Jay Davidson in the movie itself. I think it was their second movie role right after the Crying Game. And he was like, I want $1 million for these 2 scenes you want me for. Because he didn't want to be in the movie at all. And Roland Emmerich was like, okay. And so he was in the movie. And it was like his only second and last big theatrical movie. And that was funny. So the sort of pharaoh crest is a separate piece. It's not secure at all. It's almost O'Neill beret style in terms of whether or not it sits on his head properly. It's more, secure than beret, but it feels like it doesn't need a lot to just fall right off. And to get it like in a secure position over his head, you kind of have to like really wedge it down over his eyes, and it just makes it look disproportionate. Now we're going to look at a side-by-side of Ra from the figure and Ra from the movie, because the card art is very faithful to the figure, but neither looks like Ra does in the movie itself, which I think is ridiculous. And it shouldn't have been that hard to make it. It looks like they went like, we should make Ra a video game style end boss villain, because like Jay Davidson is a very svelte person, very lithe, and the Ra figure on the card art in plastic is just not any of those things. So we're gonna look at Ra without the helm on again, and yeah, it doesn't even capture Jay Davidson's sort of very demure facial features either. But that's fine. If I was going to be worried about faithfulness at this point, it would have been lost way long ago. So we have arm articulation, we have the legs, and like Horus and Anubis, the skirt piece can be removed. This one is a lot more loose than the other two. You can see that it's already kind of pulling off, so it's misaligned right there. You can hardly tell if you get it like in a good position, but it's not the best looking kind of aesthetic, and that's a shame. But I still really like it. It still looks very Stargate, even if it is more toyetic than the other ones are. And like, yeah, that's the thing. Like the helm keeps slipping off. Anyway, let's take a look at his accessories and see what we can glean from there. So first thing we have is his artifact piece, which is his mothership. Like you can see the ridges coming down. And I have to say, it's a nice piece, but the weapon that came with Anubis looks so much better. It looks so much more faithful to what the mothership actually look like in the movie. This one, you can tell it's meant to be the mothership, but the sculpt just isn't there. And it's fun. It's really hilarious that a gimmicky weapon scaled down was a lot more faithful than the thing that's actually meant to represent it, in the plastic form. But I like it. I'm glad that it came with Ra. It's the thing that should come with Ra, honestly, more than anything else. Next up, we have his giant bazooka sci-fi weapon. And yeah, I don't believe at all he's gonna be able to hold this. Let's see. It's not a bad grip. Like, it's not. It's actually like maybe one of the better grips any of these had. There's no clearance issues. It seems to form around his arm, and it has a nice grip on it overall. Like, that's nice. I was worried. Okay, so Ra gets extra points for actually being able to hold this thing. And then let's see how Bazooka goes. Good. That's nice. All these weapons work. Kudos. And let's take a look at, well, his faithful to the movie, but also not faithful, because he didn't have any of these. He didn't have this thing in the movie. Like, he didn't have like a little taser staff. That was only for Horus and Anubis. But he gets his own version in the figure, and I think that's really awesome. You can see that has the same kind of design aesthetic as the other ones, but it's a lot more ornate because he's like the pharaoh. Not a great grip on it, but I think he looks great holding it, and I think that's what's important. It's really awesome. And yeah, honestly, I love these two figures. Ra is so unfaithful, it's hilarious. He's like typical toy unfaithful. But I'm glad at all the little touches they gave him. And I think it's some of the more fun aspects of having these figures. So let's look at them side by side. So here we have Ra and Horus holding their taser staffs. And I have to say, another great week, another great pair. Maybe not as fun as Anubis was at the box, because I think that was a real shock in terms of quality. These are on the same level for sure, but they're nothing surprising after that. They're definitely on the upswing with these movie figures. Like, I have no idea how they can make stuff like this and Anubis while also making like just utter trash like Jackson O'Neil. I love Jackson O'Neil figures, but like, these are what you would expect from a toy line for kids based on Stargate. Like, these are what you would have in mind. And they definitely save the line. Like, they make the line worthwhile, and they're really fun if you're a Stargate fan who also wants to have like kitschy kids toys equivalent of those. And I really have a lot of fun with them, and I can't wait to go to next week. There's still one extra surprise in this box, and we still haven't forgotten about the bigger box I showed at the beginning of the first week. And that's going to be really fun for next week. So I can't wait to see you guys then. And we're going to have a lot of fun with that big extra special surprise. So have a great one, and see you again next time.